So I'm going to talk to you today about hacking the future. I'm Linda, and I just wanted to tell you the story about Code Club. Have you ever gone to the pub and gotten a bit tipsy and bought a domain name? This is kind of like that. For the last year and a little bit, I've been teaching primary school children how to program because the government isn't. And I just want to share with you what I've learned from that. But back to the beginning. So in March 2012, I went to the pub with my friend Claire, and we wanted to organize a hack day because we were a bit fed up with the hack days that were happening in London at that time. They were all about, come here and impress your peers and pitch to these investors. And that's not why I do hack days. I like to get together with my friends and do fun stuff. So we wanted to do a hack day of our own. And I don't know if you can see that, but behind the bear glass it says, change the world. So that was basically just our plan, have a hack day that we would focus on changing the world rather than impressing investors. And at the time in the UK, there was a lot of talk about how the ICT curriculum in schools sucked. So Eric Schmidt had done a talk in Edinburgh where he basically accused the UK of throwing away its computing heritage by not teaching programming in schools. And ever since, the media has been ICT teachers suck and they only teach PowerPoint. And so that was kind of, although we were meant to be organizing a hack day, we were kind of ranting about that. And so we thought that we could invite kids over to our hack day and get them enthusiastic and into computers. But the more we thought about it, the more we thought that would be kind of cruel, because we'd get them there and we have an awesome time and they'd love it, and then they would go back to school and learn how to make spreadsheets, and that would be mean. So the more we had to drink, the bigger our kind of problem became. This beer, by the way, Kernel IPA, is my favorite. I really recommend it. It's quite alcoholic, which might be how we managed to get to this next idea that we came up with, which was inspire kids to learn to code. And we had this idea that we would send professional programmers into schools 1 hour a week to teach the children. We launched with a single tweet. Nationwide network, that was the alcohol talking. Exciting times. And then what we didn't expect to happen was the day after this. So we tweeted a tweet and then it got picked up and it was in Wired and BBC Tech. After school code clubs planned to teach kids programming. How is that news? Maybe it was a slow news day. We basically didn't have anything. It's what it says. It was planned. We had an idea. But now that it'd been on Wired and BBC, we pretty much had to do something, right? It was vaporware at the time, but we quickly got together and wrote some basic lesson plans of what it might be. This is Claire. She's not a programmer, so with enough Haribo and some whiskey, that was simulating a kid, to test out. Just to test out if the lessons worked. So I wrote some lessons and tested them on Claire. And we made these activity sheets. We made 9 projects with Scratch, which is this awesome programming language developed at MIT specifically for teaching kids how to program. And we tried to make them fun, this desert race here is animating a farting lion and other things that we thought kids might like. So the nice thing about Scratch is that you don't have to do any typing. You just put together these blocks. They fit together like a puzzle, so you don't have to worry about syntax and things like that. But they're still learning proper programming. I mean, there's like logic and operators and if statements and things that they have to do. And then we took them into 20 primary schools to test out our curriculum that we've just made in a hurry. And it's basic user testing, like this is what I was used to from my job, right, in the web world. You make your thing and then you see how the users are using it, and then you improve it, and then you iterate, and then you do that over and over. And we also did a lot of research. This is a really good book, by the way. So we were doing sort of, you know, what are kids into? And we also developed our own metrics of what would be a successful project. So we measured like the amounts of smiles and fist bumps and high fives and laughter. And also at the end of each project, we would ask the kids on a scale from 0, pretty boring, to 100, the most awesomest fun I've had in my life ever. How fun was this lesson? And we're very proud to say that we are 92% fun. So, I mean, you just can't argue with that kind of statistics, right? Like, that's science. So when we were in the pub, we were thinking that, you know, maybe we'll start with like a club each. Maybe we'll have 2, or maybe we even have 5. But what happened was this. So that's over 18,000 children who are learning to program at the moment in 1 hour a week. And 40% of those are girls. Like 40. We did have some help along the way, and I have a video that you might not be able to hear at all. I mean, I can try to get the microphone down to the laptop. I don't even know where the sound comes out of this thing. It's like computers, how do they work?
Your name?
My name is Niklas Sandström.
So why would you like to work at Code Club?
I have made a few software, done something called Skype. I think I have
Anything else?
Well, I have a few others, but they were not as big. But
My name is Joanna Shields.
What do you think you can do for Code Club?
I was chief executive of a company called Bebo.
Justin Bieber?
No, actually a company called Bebo.
Next. As you know, Code Club is an after-school activity aiming to teach children the basics of coding. What do you think you bring to the table?
Well, I'm Chad Hurley. I created YouTube.
Oh, I know. Did you do that one where the baby bites the other baby's finger?
No, I don't make videos.
Next.
Tessa Jowl. Actually, it's Dame Tessa Jowl.
Next. Tell us a bit about yourself, Brent and Martha.
We started lastminute.com.
Next. Sit down. What's your name?
I'm Tim Berners-Lee.
What do you think you bring to the table?
I invented the World Wide Web.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Next. We were hoping for Prince Harry to be honest with you, Mr. Windsor. So why would you like to work for Code Club?
I think it's a very useful skill, particularly for people like yourselves and young people, and I think it opens up huge opportunities in the future. And I suppose I know some influential people.
Like who?
My mother.
You're hired!
But yeah, it's really quite simple. We send volunteers, usually professional programmers, into venues that are usually schools, because schools already have children and computers, which are the two things we need, really. And we give them projects that are already tried and tested. They don't have to prepare anything, and they just go into the school and teach it. And we opened this up to every school September last year, so it's really just been a little bit over a year. And the volunteers, like, they love it as much as the kids. Like, seriously, never mind the children. What about the Code Club effect on volunteers? All rave on about being impressed, excited, and having amazing fun. Forgot how infectious children's enthusiasm is. Code Club is pretty fun. Looking forward to the next one. Calling it their midweek morale boost. And yeah, today's Code Club is ace. Budding hackers, in proper sense of the word, abound. So obviously you should all volunteer. And the kids love it too. So yeah, I keep getting accosted by 10-year-old girls asking if they can join. Oh, and P.S., Code Club is awesome. We started at 1 class and had to double to 2 in just half a term. Might even triple if we find enough resources. So this is actually a bit of a problem that we have. So when the Code Clubs start up, they'll have maybe 10 kids in them, and then the kids start making games, and then they get a unique URL for their game, and then they start sharing that game with their friends, and then their friends play the game that their friend made, and then they also want to be able to make games. And so the Code Clubs very quickly become oversubscribed. All of a sudden, everyone in the school wants to do it, which is cool, but it's also a problem because yeah, there's long waiting lists for all the Code Clubs, and I get very sad emails from parents saying, oh, my son or daughter really wanted to go to Code Club, but it's full. What do I do now? Please help. And also another problem we have is that there are lots of schools who want to do this, but they don't find a volunteer. So actually, there are currently over 500 schools in the UK who really want to do Code Club, but I don't have a volunteer to do it. So we tried to solve this in various ways. For instance, we're allowing teachers to do it on their own without a volunteer. Like, they can learn alongside the kids. And, you know, we wrote this for 9-year-olds. I think most adults can learn from our projects. They can learn alongside them. We do have workshops for adults who want to run a Code Club, where we basically just show them Scratch, and we're not really even teaching them programming, we're just giving them the confidence that they can go in and do this. And as a result, we actually have over 600 teachers doing this in school time instead of the non-existent curriculum, which is actually quite terrifying because, yeah, we don't know what we're doing. But we get some good feedback from the teachers. So they say things like, the kids have learned to test and work to solve problems and not just accept that there is only one way of achieving something. There's been a marked difference in the way that Code Club members approach problem solving, a more analytical approach, and a way of seeing mistakes or errors as part of the process of learning. They are much more willing now to help each other solve problems and to try to find solutions before looking to me for help. Seeing their confidence and willingness to take risks has been the best bit. Or engagement has improved and it incited a new lease of creativity and optimism. So when I first went to one of the pilot schools, and one of the teachers told me that all the kids that were in Code Club were all of a sudden better at maths, I was very skeptical because, first of all, we don't teach any maths. And second of all, it just sounded like something they wanted to say, that sounds good in the media or something. But they kept insisting on it, and we kept getting feedback like this. And one thing that I noticed a lot of teachers said, like, in fact, I think all of them said that the kids that do Code Club don't raise their hand as much. which is a bit weird. But after some investigation, we found out that usually what happens if a kid doesn't know how to solve a problem is they will ask for the formula. Except that the Kids That Do Code Club has learned that you can experiment and you can try things, and if you get it wrong, that's okay. And that's just part of the learning process. The best thing for me has been that seeing mistakes and errors are part of the learning process. You'd think that this would be something that schools would teach already, but apparently not. Like in the school, a mistake is the worst thing you can make. And when you make a mistake, you get told that you are wrong. And even just like the language of this is like, say a kid is like hitting their sibling, oh, you are wrong, don't do that. And then you use the same language to say, oh, you got this math question wrong. It's like, did you do something bad? And I think a lot of kids, when they make a mistake, they just try to forget about it as quickly as possible. They might even feel embarrassed or even ashamed. And I think that, like, as teaching kids to program isn't really about the programming at all. It's more about the mindset and how to learn and how to break things down into sub-processes. So that has been one of my favorite bits. And also the collaboration, because in schools, obviously you need to test the kids, right? You have exam boards and you don't have that much collaboration because that way you don't know who did what and you can't assign them the appropriate grade. But that's not how the world works. And the thing that I really like about Scratch, for instance, is that you can see anyone's code and you can take it and you can build upon it and you can like add to it. Like you can literally fork someone's Scratch project. And I think that is a much better way of learning. And also they get to be really creative. So my first code club was great. The kids decided they wanted to make a game about a tomato that kidnaps an onion and is excited about cheese. Like, I just love things like this. This is what keeps me going, basically. So we open sourced our stuff a little while back. So we don't just teach Scratch. We then go on to making websites as their first typing experience. They're very slow in the beginning, you know, they have to learn to type. But browsers are quite forgiving, so it doesn't matter that much if they make a mistake. And then we go into Python, and we try to appeal to the volunteers as much as the kids, sometimes just to get more volunteers. So we actually started with Logo in Python. I don't know if you remember Logo, maybe from your school. But it's like little turtles, and it's built in Python. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, and it's really nice because the kids really relate to the turtle. So you get a turtle on the screen that you can move around. But when we ask them things like, oh, make a triangle, they can just move in real space. Like they can be like, okay, so how would I do a triangle? Oh, I would move this way, and then I turn, and then I move that way, and it makes it a lot easier for them to break it down into steps. And then we also have this A to Z activity / coloring book. So for instance, we have T for Turing, and it will have like some description of Turing, and then you can color in Turing, and there are lots of rainbows in the background. It's probably illegal in Russia, but never mind. But the Scratch curriculum has already been translated into 10 languages, which is awesome. We'd like to see more collaboration, though, like more people contributing back. So occasionally we get volunteers to do like a special Christmas code club activity sheet or something, and they can contribute it back, and then we can distribute it to all the other code clubs. I'd really like to see more teachers get involved, because although we have a lot of programmers getting involved, we're not really able to pull on all the knowledge that teachers have, and they are quite scared of GitHub. I tried, but yeah, I would really like something more user-friendly that even teachers would be able to use and then use for sharing lessons. Like, teachers are always complaining they're overworked, right? And they are. You'd think that they want to share lessons. But yeah, if anyone can help me with that, like, please. So the reason I do this is because I get to see things like this. I mean, this is a website that a 10-year-old made about their love for chinchillas. And it is just like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like, have you seen a chinchilla? Then you are cool. Yeah, I totally agree. So obviously, all children should have the opportunity to express their love for chinchillas or whatever they are into. So that's why we decided 2 months ago to launch worldwide. So yeah, taking over the world. We didn't have enough to do, so we thought we'd add some things. And yeah, it's been going okay. We're not in Antarctica yet, but besides from that. Well, no, there aren't really any kids in Antarctica, but we were thinking of maybe sending some robots over there that the kids could control remotely or something, just so we can say that we're on all the continents. Like, that would be a much cooler thing to say, right? Yeah, I'm sure I actually forgot to say loads of things. So if you have any questions, maybe I can answer them instead. I always forget to say the most obvious things. Yes?
So do you see code.org as competition for you guys, or like how do you collaborate with that project that's getting launched?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what code.org does. As far as I know, it's like a website where they list what other people do. Is that accurate? I might be wrong. Yeah, so we just want people to take our projects and go to their nearest school and start teaching some kids. You don't have to prepare any lessons. We've taken care of that. We've tested it so that you can be confident that the kids will love it and they'll have fun doing it. And really, we just need... You don't even need to do like... you don't even need to do much programming. It's like you're just there to help if they have a question, and you don't just provide the answer, you just poke them a bit. I mean, it's quite simple, really.
All right. What's the age range you're targeting?
So we started with 9 to 11 because, well, we were in the pub and we felt we had to start somewhere, and none of us have kids and we didn't really know. But we figured at 9 they already know how to read and do some basic logic, so we didn't want to have to also worry about that. Like, we'd like to do more. We're constantly asked to do for secondary schools or for younger, but like we are 3 people full time. And we just don't have the time or money to do more. If we had some more people, we could expand the thing. Or if more people contributed to like lessons on GitHub, that would be cool too.